past, this is just for those who missed or those who don't remember quite how to do this. I'm going to show you a little bit about FramePicker and types of symbols. So first of all, we have three types of symbols. Any object can be changed into them. So for instance, if we were to make a black rectangle here, or a white rectangle with a black line, we can select it. And because it's in object mode, it's going to select the whole object. If it weren't in object mode, let's go ahead and get rid of this real quick. If it were not in object mode, and in properties, you can turn that off here, it would be like paint, where when we select it, we can select individual parts, or double click to select the whole thing and group it to make it one solid object. But I had object mode on, so it moves as one object. It doesn't matter which you have though, as long as you select the whole thing, you can convert it to a symbol. So we'll go up here to convert to symbol. We can choose three types. There's a Movieclip, which has its own internal timeline, a button, which you won't be using, that would be used for websites or things that use user interaction, or a graphic symbol. Now these used to not have their own internal timelines, but now they do. So there's some options here. If you want to have animations within animations, I recommend Movieclip, but for graphic, this is what we use if we want to use the FramePicker. So let's start with that. We do have some advanced options here too. So let's say we're going to make a face. So we're changing the square to a graphic for a face. Now once you have a symbol with internal timeline, you can double click it and notice that we go from the scene to the face. We are now inside the internal timeline for this as a graphic. So what we need to do is add a couple different faces. So I'm going to copy and paste that eyeball. I think those are going behind objects here. Yep. We want these in front of the object. Now notice, because I grabbed this in pieces, not in object mode, it actually left part of it. But that's okay. So I want our eyeballs in front of, and we can group these with Command G2 to keep them together. While I'm in front of this, I'm going to Command G these to group down. Now for each graphic symbol we make here, we're going to convert these each graphic symbol. That's going to be one thing that goes in the keyframe picker when we go back to the main. So we can switch between them. Now remember, if you do insert keyframe, it will bring the last frame forward with the art that's on it, so you can change it a little bit. However, if you're starting from basically scratch, you'd want to do blank keyframe to draw in like a new frame from scratch. So if you're reusing part of this, like this guy, I could reuse his face and just change the eyes a little bit. I'd use insert keyframe. However, I'd use insert blank keyframe if you're doing like a frame by frame where it changes so much it's not worth editing the old artwork but just drawing again from scratch. So I do want to use keyframe here because I'm just going to change the eyes slightly. I'm going to break apart the symbol here so I can get to just this. You can do break apart up here too. Now we have an option up here called onion skin. So this lets me see what happened in a previous frame. I want to know where those eyes were when we work on this one. And it shows the future in green and the past in blue to let you line up your current frame with what happened before. It's kind of like a ghost image. So now I know that my eyes are about here, so for a blink I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. Now I do want this stuff to go in front though. So I'm going to try to get this guy sent to back. Modify range, send to back. Let's see if we can get it to do it. So now I'm going to send this to the back. For some reason it's not wanting to let me. Let's see if we just need to break this apart maybe. Let's see if I can send it to the back now. We could put this on 2 different layers too. We're having this issue. Let's try the brush in object mode. There we go. It's part of the problem, it's just object mode, because the box is an object and this isn't. Okay, so now we should have that there. We're going to convert this to a symbol, make it squint, still graphic. Let's do one here. We're going to get rid of the eyes real quick. Let's do angry. We're also going to make this symbol, graphic, tile it angry. Okay, now when we go back to the main, because we're in face, we put these in internally. We go back to the main, we need to change this to single frame and do create keyframe. I'm going to go forward in time and hit F5 to extend this. Now all we have to do is click forward, because it's on create keyframe. We just click this, and click this, and it should make us keyframe up there. Notice it did right there. So we want to blink for a second and go back, make it a keyframe again. We'll go forward, click this, and hit angry. Click this and hit open. Click this and hit squint. And then open again, go forward, and then angry. So basically what we get is this. So you do hold faces side to side, hold different facial expressions or parts of faces like eyeballs, mouths, etc. with keyframe picker. Switch back and forth between them quickly and in keyframes. It's great for lip syncing. We will also look at some other ways to do things. But we also have movie clips. So for movie clips, let me delete this layer. If we have an object we don't want to move individually, so let's say I have a star. Okay, let's take a start here. Let's say we want this to twirl, but also move around. So basically I could do a tween here. Or let's say we want to move around a square. So we'll go ahead and add a layer. In fact, let's not add a layer, let's put it inside the same object so that it's really easy to move them together. I'm going to bring this to the front, select both of these, and we're going to do modify, convert to symbol, make this a movie clip, call it square. Okay, now we can go, because it's a movie clip and has an internal timeline, all we want to do on the front here is move this and have it move as one whole so it's easy to move. We don't have to move lots of parts. So now that the animation can be internal for this, we're just moving the object as a whole, but we can double click it to go into it. Now here is where we're going to, in the internal animation, here is where we're going to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'll add a layer here. So we have the square going down to 90 seconds. We're going to put our star here, take that out to 90 seconds as well. Then I'm going to tell it from point A to point B by doing a motion tween here. From point A to point B, I want it to rotate 2 times, so I can put that in properties. And I also want it to travel from here to here, down to here. Now the reason it looks like that is because remember we have on this ghosting, so we can see the previous frames in blue and the future in green. But we could turn that off with onion skinning. Now because this is internal, oh, let's add some color effects too. We can go to advanced and let's right here, let's put the alpha. Okay, so what we have, a little bit of transparency, and then we want it to, by the end, be back up to full alpha. Okay, that's all internal in Square. So let's go back to scene. Now that's all encapsulated inside here, so all we need to do is make a motion tween for this and move the object as a whole. But remember, the interior frames we made 90 seconds. So since this is the main window, everything else shows through, those internal parts, this has to be at least as long as the longest one for all of them to show. So because the longest one was 90, I'll go a little bit above 90 here, maybe. Now you can't see internal animations just by playing the timeline. what you have to do to see them is go to Control and Test. Now we can see those played out. The cool part is, because we're moving this as a whole, we could right click and then move the object on this tween, and all we have to do is move it as a whole. Then we get this. And we don't have to move the star and the square and the path around it individually. We just put an internal animation so it loops, and then we can move the object as a whole. That is it for today, but make sure to ask me any questions if that doesn't make sense. We'll try and make sure everyone understands it and is on the same boat. Thank you for your time.